time around. So I think it's a reasonable expectation.
Just 9 days ago, actually.
Well, that's a lot of time in League of Legends.
9 days ago, and we have a new best of 5 for you guys. And this time, Homolay Esports starting off on the blue side. There's that Rumble perma ban, the Azir target ban against Faker, and the Lilia coming out. Stuff you guys have already talked about here.
No big surprises thus far. Banning away Oner's arguably strongest pick right now. The Tristana is the only one that comes as somewhat of a surprise, as it is indeed going to be those two Peanut picks. The Sejuani is the next one that's high on the list for both of these junglers, but you gotta imagine that there's gotta be an early Ziggs priority here.
Yep, obviously seen Viper play it, you know, maybe didn't have the most inspired build, but definitely able to put the performance in and they got them the win. We'll see if the priorities have shifted at all, because I think from what we've seen in playoffs, it has been Shuzi on that Ziggs. Smolder's also been something, particularly in the mid lane, not really bot showing up. That's going to be locked in immediately. And the question really is going to be, what is Faker going to play on this? So obviously going to share the Ziggs, and they also get that Sejuani. So with a lot of junglers banned out, wanted to lock that one in for Oner.
The Ivern is still available here for Peanut. He has looked like one of our best junglers on the pick. Also, most likely the Smolder is going to go mid. There is, of course, some flex potential. I feel like Smolder in the solo lanes does feel a lot stronger right now. But given the fact that Doran has pulled out Akshan at some point, I feel like he'll be down for anything. And the Ivern shouldn't come as a surprise, although that's a very different look. But something that Peanut has run games on throughout the last couple of years.
Yeah, technically could be a flex if they want to put a support. We've seen a bit of that, but not too much of it recently. But definitely a pick that Peanut's confident in. Often we see him leaning heavily into side lanes on the back of this pick. So ensuring you have a decent matchup is important. Now, I don't really like the Ashe here. I think the Jhin is a much better pick. Ashe, you know, you're never going to get into auto range against the Ziggs, and it's so easy to explode him. Ziggs, you can unload with your ult from a distance. And, I mean, if Ziggs does throw an ult onto you when you're ulting, the follow-up probably isn't there in the first place. But Leona going to be given to Keria, so getting that strong pairing between the Ziggs Leona, it means even if you end up with like a ranged top laner, Leona is very good at stacking up the Sejuani passive as well. So you have that lockdown, and the Ziggs is there for the follow-up already.
For Oner and Keria, gonna have to try their best to sync up better than they have in the past. And yeah, both these AD carries can be left alone. Obviously, we are also big fans of when you play towards the Ziggs and actually utilize his pushing power. But it does give you a lot of flexibility, and I think Jhin kind of falls in the same vein. The Rel ban should not come as a surprise. I imagine that they're gonna ban like Rel and Alistar.
Alistar for sure.
And then kind of go from there. We'll see, because the top lane matchup could obviously be the Smolder, but I don't think that's likely. And yeah, the Camille ban after Zeus' performance, particularly against DK, where we had a pretty solid carry showing.
It was all right.
it was okay.
A decent,
it was like
14 kills.
14 and 2.
Maybe Doran potentially think of like a blind Gnar, you know, maybe
or Cassante.
Could be. We'll see. Obviously, this is one of the dangers. Blue side's been heavily prioritized throughout the entire split for playoffs. But into Zeus specifically, he can really be problematic. We saw like Perfect struggle against that, going the Renekton and getting the Vayne treatment. But also if you have a Poppy, having control off the sides really elevates the power of this pick. So you are going to be blind, but you want to hopefully go into a matchup where you're going to feel comfortable. And really these bans are going to influence that. So we'll see if they opt to throw another one to the top lane.
Yeah, definitely an important last ban. As the Corki comes out, note that Faker has not picked his pick just yet. They take the Tristana, Azir, and Corki away. Also could be flexed, but definitely feels like something Faker would play, as some hovers coming in from Guma. We already have the Ziggs, and we're just thinking about what is Faker going to play, as they should be saving counter pick for Zeus in the top lane. And so maybe it's just...
Yeah, I imagine it's the APA special, right?
Yeah.
Captain America showing his face here with the Ziggs coming through, most likely in the mid lane, unless it's mid Caitlyn, which, given that you have Guma on your team, I hope not.
Probably not, you know.
Playing the Smolder, you know.
Hey, we're in an AD carry mid lane meta. I gotta mention it at least.
But to me, this just screams tower taking potential. You know, you have a Caitlyn lane in the bot lane. It's obviously not a hugely favorable matchup, but if you get an advantage there, if you lay a CC onto the Bard, get some kill leads, start taking plates in the bot lane, move the Ziggs over and secure. So clear plan coming out from T1 here. The Bard for Delight, they're pretty cool. Not something we typically see from him in terms of his wheelhouse. Not a big ranged support player. and then it will be that Jax for Doran being locked in. So Zeus is counter pick in this situation.
Would be some poetic justice if Zeus ends up bringing out the Gragas. Definitely AP Gragas, one of the matchups that can really bully the Jax. I do like the Jax. I think both Doran had a really good game on it, but also it plays well into a lot of the bullies that normally Zeus likes to go into. And this is a pick that he has obviously been historically great on. It's a pick that he debuted on and looked incredible on. But that's not really what I think you were looking for with an R5 counter pick. Because this still feels like a skill matchup that can go either way depending on jungle intervention.
Yeah, it kind of feels to me that T1, with the flex of the Ziggs and the Caitlyn coming in, want to direct a lot of attention towards the bot lane, and they're fine with Zeus just having a matchup he feels confident in. Obviously, the Gnar can take priority pretty comfortably in this matchup, but not really something that we expect to crush the Jax. It'd be interesting to see as well, though.
I think the swap. By the way, Guma's playing Ziggs.
So they are swapping it now and put the Caitlyn in the mid lane. I mean, you outrange the Smolder quite hard. We'll see what Faker's able to do on this. Keeping us guessing, keeping HLE guessing till the last moment.
The crowd just like panicked. I don't know, that was a weird reaction. Everybody just like can't believe it.
Because it's Guma on your team.
Yeah.
So you have one of the best Caitlyns that we have in the LCK. And it's going to be Faker. As you said, Oaks, I think it makes sense in theory, right? You do outrange, but that's a gamble that we're taking here. Caitlyn mid.
This is the sort of thing you should be doing in Game 1, though. You know, I feel like we saw this in previous series from T1. Didn't always work fantastically, but you've prepped this experiment. You had 9 days, and they think this is the answer to the Smolder, and let's see if it can work.
The Faker's got to step up, though. Individually, AD carries have not been his forte, but now given all the power over this Caitlyn counter pick.
This isn't going to be easy. I think they are taking a risk for sure. By the way, I really love that blind Jax for Doran. He's fantastic on that. Takes a lot of counter picking away from the side of Zeus. We'll see how it works out. As we are ready, let's hop into the rift for game number 1 of the lower finals. Alrighty, here we go. Game number 1. And it looks like we're face checking some brushes here. As Faker, he's gonna net over the wall. Has to take a net at level 1.
Yeah, I haven't really seen the Smolder Caitlyn matchup very much in the mid lane, but I imagine that's not how you want to start it, having to go your net level 1. Fortunately, should have time to recall and get back to lane, but yeah, gonna be a bit less pressure on Zeka, so HLE finding a good window just to force that level 1 skill up.
Bold statement, Oaks. Coming out right from the get-go. Also, do note, Zeka actually going for Fleet, so we have been seeing mostly Grouse, Smolder, even in ranged matchup. I do think that this is one of the matchups where if Faker plays it well, you really shouldn't be able to get a whole lot of stacks.
Yeah.
So I do think the Fleet in that regard makes sense, gives you the extra movement speed, and allows you to sustain the Caitlyn harass a little bit better.
Yeah, I also, you know, they've got planned nerfs for Fleet, so I think a lot of the movement we've seen in solo queue towards Grasp is to kind of mirror the sustain. But I think here you just want, when you do end up trading with the Caitlyn, being able to trade the Q, but you can see here, you know, part of the thing, not having your Q level 1, Faker is going to lose in terms of the early push and be pressured a bit on the tower. And I think this is one of the things with Smolder, is obviously he's a champion that scales phenomenally, but one of the frustrations with him is he actually has quite a lot of wave clear in his kit, obviously not available at level 1, but you can just auto Q the W, also a ability with a big amount of AoE and threat, so not completely useless this early when it comes to laning prowess, but he is taking some heavy damage there.
That's with, it's a bit of a fight here.
Yeah, it's a little skirmish down here. Guma's still level 1, so, you know, nice little engage from the Leona, but not going to overdo it. As Faker's getting in there, he does hit the net, and it is a pretty good trade here, all things considered. This is the first time we have ever seen Caitlyn mid by anybody in the LCK.
Bringing it out. I was about to say, there it is.
There it is.
We knew the graphic was coming. What I want to see, though, we haven't talked about this yet, but the best thing about Peanut, his Poppy, which, by the way, was spotted on that ward, is how insanely proactive he is towards the early sidelines. As was mentioned earlier, this time around, though, only going to get a couple of small Krugs, but not a lot more. Jade is being covered here towards this top side of the map.
Yeah, really important. I feel like the diving like a mini Gnar
Peanut.
is such a bread and butter play.
I would not put it past him to flash some walls and try to get in onto Faker, as there's the magical journey. Faker, does he know he's in trouble? He will flash away. And that's going to be Peanut trading flashes with mid lane Caitlyn. You'll take that.
Yeah, especially Peanut has Hex Flash, so, you know, as Atlas always like to say, he just unlocked the Hex Flash situation, upgraded. And also, even though Fake obviously flashed away, doesn't go down, you know, you saw how he was trying to establish pressure in the lane.
There's Gen G, by the way.
That's to reset TP in. And yeah, Gen G watching and ready for tomorrow.
You know, what better way to learn than to come down and see it all happen in person?
I don't think they had Caitlyn mid on their bingo list, so can go from that right from the get-go. Also, do note you're in the mid lane. Both mid lane is no TPing back. Cole being bought on one end for Faker. Zeka is going to have the tier, and we'll see. To me, the flash being down in of itself already useful. Might make a difference when we see some skirmishes towards the grubs. Makes it a lot easier for Peanut to get that jump. But if they're not able to get the punish, then it won't end up mattering too much. As first gank already successful here, and something that we give Peanut a lot of credit for. Do note, hasn't actually backed yet, is just continuing to full clear his jungle. And probably going to take one soon. A dragon about to come up, and it is a Chemtech Drake first. Thank you very much, Ox.
Doing my best.
He's on the cast.
Also, like, you know, being part of that initial gank, getting the move, and I feel like Bard is always one of these champions who roam so heavily, but into a lane like a Ziggs, there's just so limited impact you can have there. Now, they are looking for a dive here on Oren.
They see Oner here, and alrighty. Just gonna take a mean look at him and then run the other way. And they don't know exactly where the enemy jungler is, where Peanut is, and they're not gonna try to dive a Counter-Strike Jax without that information. Yeah,
if the Mega Gnar bar was still there and they had melee attacks for Sejuani, maybe they would have tried something. Well, it still would have been a little bit of a gamble, but instead just get it demolished. Probably.
Yeah, I think that the wallop missed, and as soon as it happened, they're like, you know what, you're good, you're good. Well, you know, and I think it shows restraint not to try and overforce anyway. Obviously, the players don't just want to throw the game away in a dive this early, especially into a Jax, where there's so many counter dives.
Especially into Doran in an early game in the best of 5. I feel like that's happened before.
That's been a thing, yeah.
Yeah. Don't want to risk that.
Yeah, we have the supports out on the map, hovering around mid, understandably, as the grubs are about to spawn as well, so they might be making some plays for that. Extremely important for both teams, just because the Ziggs exists. The Caitlyn, you guys mentioned, very good at sieging turrets as well. You want to take those away from T1, and if you're T1, obviously you want to pick those up. So we'll see just how much pressure we see on these grubs. For now, we do see Oner's going to the Drake, and Peanut has started them, so T1 are going to be giving up the grubs.
Do have Keria on a roam here towards topside. See if they can get a lane gank as this crash comes through. But Delight and Peanut are both in the area. Do also know that obviously with the ultimate or of the portal, it's going to be really easy to come through, as we do have Zeka harassing a little bit here.
Yeah, this is kind of risky because it feels like Keria went top to cover Zeus, because obviously HLE are leaning top for the grubs, but now Zeka...
he's going in there. He's 1v3. He's like, no, I've got Mom. And he's just going to push them off. He buys enough time. And now HLE Esports rotate over. And they're going to get both as, yep, there's the smite. They take down the Drake. And HLE Esports enjoy both objectives. So
not only is Keria towards the top side, but Viper also has 6. And trying to contest that dragon right there, if Jhin can open up the curtain at any time, is a risk that T1 wasn't willing to take. And HLE, both the early Drake and the free grubs.
And I think the mistake was Keria showing top. I think if you hover top, then if a dive comes, you're there to cover. But by showing top, you show your cards to HLE Esports. Zeka was like, oh, the support's not bot. I can aggress on this dragon. And he knew the Bard was going to quickly follow. So I think that was the mistake there. I understand T1 not wanting to expose theirs, but this really backfired hard for them.
And if Oner is 6, then Zeka can't be that far up. Doesn't have cleanse, would only be able to flash. But without an ultimate available, there's not all you can do is Peanut.
Yep, Hex flashing in, and actually just going to real flash on top of Faker here, and that is going to be Faker in a ton of trouble. Oner does make his way over, but that's first blood given over to the Smolder in the mid lane. Meanwhile, at top, Doran going to force a flash. He does trade, but takes the win in this 1v1.
And there is the timing from Peanut just before Faker's flash is available. Makes his way into the mid lane. And with that flash towards the top side as well, Zeus and Doran trading there.
Yeah, Doran having an advantage top all by himself. And the fact you're getting this Smolder nearly kill This Caitlyn obviously not feeling too happy about that, and it's just great moves from Home Life Esports, being on that earlier summoner spell, coming back to reiterate and secure that. And bot, we're seeing Viper a little bit behind in farm, but it's not really a meaningful gap.
Yeah. Take another look. It's very straightforward, right? Hex flash in, even without getting the slam into the wall. As long as Faker isn't able to get towards the wall and E over, you're always going to take him down.
Yeah, I mean, the thing as well, the smolder with the flap can easily gain distance on you. The Poppy, so much mobility as well. And the net, not that useful against the Poppy in this situation. Just really good setup from the side of HLE. And Delight will find Oner here.
Yeah, in the 1v1 and maybe a 2v1, Delight is not going to win. Even a headshot, or rather a ace in the hole coming in from down the lane. Delight just says, well, I'll just flash. I mean, just a level 5 bard. I'm not really that threatening. Here is a dive on the top lane. Doran is going to get flashed on by Keria, and a bunch of damage goes into this Jax as Zeus will take him down, and they do get revenge for him.
Good move coming out there, you know, managing to get Doran outside of tower range. Zeus doing a really good job with the ultimate. And the thing is, you're not vulnerable on the bot side because it's Ziggs. Guma still has his ult if he needed to clear a wave, but doesn't even have that pressure on him.
Very necessary as well, because I think T1 was really lacking a pressure point to play through. Getting a kill onto the Gnar, definitely going to be nice. And this is actually where the, what we didn't actually see, but I imagine it was a proactive flash from Doran towards the top side that forced Zeus' flash, ends up backfiring. It was, yeah. If he has a flash available, maybe there's a way to outplay that to stall until you can counter-strike, until reinforcements can arrive, but doesn't end up coming through.
Yeah, and we'll see the replay in this situation. The counter-strike being very early to trade, and that's what makes this dive so easy. Ults him away from the tower, gets the stun, gets the Q, and then Keria comes in. He knows counter-strike's down, so Leona has full range just to layer the combo. Good moves there from Zeus to set that one up.
I do feel like if Doran just hugged the turret and maybe saved his counter-strike, probably would have put himself in a better spot, but instead kind of ends up running away halfway, and then he just kind of dies.
Yeah, the counter-strike value into a team with the Sejuani and Leona is so high. If you have that defensively, then you can easily prevent them from stacking up either Sejuani passive or the Leona Q. Now, HLE going for the grubs again, and it looks like T1 want to try and stop them from getting the full 6.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting that T1 just really don't have much presence on these grubs. I mean, they're fighting to get 1 at this point in time, maybe 2, with their Caitlyn Ziggs combo, and they should be able to get 2 unless Home Life Esports have a big plan invested here.
Doran does have his TP available, so he can join, but it looks like Home Life. Oh!
Tina had Smite, and he's going to take number 5, so that's 5 grubs
TP
for the side of Home Life Esports. Here's the TP, as you mentioned, getting right into that backline. The Ziggs, Guma, he's all alone, down he will go. And that's a bonus kill as well for Home Life Esports on top of everything else.
And you got to ask, was it worth it? You know, you got the 1 grub, but giving up so much pressure there. Keria...
He'll execute on this.
Yeah, he avoided the damage.
I'm just now noticing as well that Delight is playing Keria skin, because that was a T1 Bard ultimate that I saw there. So, very cute there. Yeah, ends up being, like, obviously the execute doesn't give kill gold over, but it still takes your support on the map. Might open a play for T1, and really big here is as well that Zeka is able to just roam down bot, catch the bot wave, so there isn't really a cross-map opportunity as Guma is Ziggs, but doesn't have his ultimate right now.
Oh boy. I mean, there's no TPs. He's alone. There's 3 people here for Home Life Esports. There's just no way for Guma to get out of this situation as Peanut and Delight set up yet another kill. And yes, T1 will get the dragon, but Home Life Esports really snowballing their lead.
And that's the window of Keria not being on the map. You see Home Life get the people where they need to be, and Peanut on the Poppy, again, finding an opening.
And you know, HLE already have a dragon, so they're willing to give up the second one and focus on getting gold
Infernal
onto
Soul.
this Jhin. Infernal Soul, yeah, you know.
2 dragons, actually.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mark.
Thank you for that. That's very
I mean, it is one of those
information.
things where if they'd lent towards Dragon, I could understand it, because, you know, if you see Chemtech Ocean, you're pretty confident it's going to be a very strong soul. And Infernal here, you know, there's a lot of champions. Jhin, Smolder, Caitlyn, Ziggs all really sync well with Infernal Soul, but HLE opting to extend their lead a bit by playing to the top side, and now Viper 2-0 with, you know, 1 farm behind Fake, who's got the most in the game. This Jhin is quickly going to come online.
Yeah. There are Jhin games where you're kind of running around and it feels like you're attacking them with like little pellets and you don't feel like you're doing anything.
Jhin.
Yeah, he's just running around reloading and not really doing any damage, but this is going to be a very different Jhin, I would say, in this game. And that's also, we haven't even really mentioned that Zeka is just very comfortably sitting here. The Caitlyn counter pick isn't really a thing, and he's scaling out of control already.
And it's such a beautiful setup here from T1, because especially with the Bard as well, T1 were forced to push forwards, and then we have this flank angle, the ult from Zeka slows, Doran comes in here, we have the ult opening up from the Jhin, Delight was there to follow up. There was no way Guma was getting out, and then here, Delight sets it up, they get the poke down, Guma's still trying to clear the wave, but he ends up in a position where Peanut can get the stun, and ends up going down. Just, once again, good execution from HLE.
And particularly in that Herald play, it also feels like T1 investing 2 ultimates there and then not even committing onto the puppy, which again is the right call because they had TP disadvantage. But realizing that a little bit too late, maybe with those ults they could have traded back or peeled back one way or another. Doesn't end up coming through, and we're basically sitting on a very even game state here as the IE first here for Faker. Call done, and we have the call for Zeus close as well, but that's a first for mid Caitlyn, which I guess is a first in general.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk a lot about the Caitlyn mid-game sort of power trough, but particularly if you go on IE first, that is not going to feel super rewarding until, well, either you get lucky and get a crit, or until you got some more items to back it up.
It is the old build, right? Like way back in the day, the Caitlyn just, just go IE, and then eventually you do matter. So maybe Faker digging into those old memories. We'll see if it works out for him. He will be building more crit, of course. But yeah, I mean, Hololive Esports, in terms of their map impacts, it feels like they're the team with the Ziggs, when obviously they don't have Ziggs. But they're just taking all the turrets. They're taking the entire map at this point in time. They get the first top one. They get this inner one immediately with double demolish, it looks like, coming in there, as well as the Rift Herald. Huge value with all the objectives they're getting.
Already a counterpunch for T1. They're gonna get a turret. I don't even think Zeus can really get a lot of damage down with the rest of Hanwha already on their way. As a powered vehicle comes through. And there it is, Viper getting very close towards that rapid fire cannon. That second item going to make him a really big deal in fights. We haven't really seen a 5v5 yet, and I imagine that's where T1 are gonna have to kind of band together and keep Faker and Guma safe, because it feels right now if any of Doran or Peanut ever get near them, they're not gonna be able to play the game.
I'm just really concerned because, even though the gold gap isn't actually that big for HLE, it's because Zeus is really fed, and if he's not able to find the impact in the team fights, which can be hit or miss with a Gnar who has to rely on Mega, T1 are really going to struggle. Like, Guma's far behind, Faker isn't super strong yet, and it's Zeus or bust at the moment. Obviously, if he can have an impact in the side lanes, fantastic, but you're going to have to play for these dragons with it being Infernal Soul. You're up into potentially Smolder as a ton of wave clear, or a Jax in the side lane, both of which I think are fine to hold off Zeus. So I am concerned about how T1 are going to match up when we get to those 5v5s. And with the dragon in a minute, that's probably going to be where we see it.
Feels like there's a closing window in that regard as well, because Zeka currently at 132 stacks. As I say that, going to get up to 135, but obviously from this point is going to go a lot faster. And you'll probably be able to get this dragon if Hanwha Live don't contest. Right now, I think they still could, particularly because Doran still has the TP available, and we do see Peanut maybe looking for a play towards the mid wave. But even if T1 get this one, this is just a second dragon. Doesn't set them up for Soul Point. How
crazy is it though, the Viper was second highest in experience, and Delight's just been roaming and giving him so much solo XP. He's level 12, the highest level in his team as an AD carry. Not something you commonly see, especially not this early in the game.
Spent a lot of time alone in bot lane, and then a decent amount of time alone in mid as well. Just kind of solo farming. And as you mentioned, Delight's been everywhere, as he normally is. And, T1 trying to set up for this Drake. Don't blame them. I mean, with the Caitlyn, you do have some nice zone control. Caitlyn and Ziggs especially. If they were ahead, like, Hololive Esports wouldn't really be able to approach anything. But it's kind of an awkward spot where they're trying to set up a nice little box for them around this objective, but Hololive Esports might just barge on through.
Yeah, they see Faker in the bot lane, so they just run through all the traps and clear them out. And
here
now,
it is. Yeah.
Good old burning the flash from Guma. And they've started to push in and contest his control. There's still Banana Brush in favor of T1, but this line of traps is a lot less intimidating when it's on the other side of the Dragon Pit.
Delight able to find, not really a direct engage, but still getting a really big summoner out of the way right from the get-go. Ziggs, obviously outside of a satchel, can be by the mobile as Dragon started up here. On Live, they are looking to contest very aggressively. Look at the Narbar for Zeus is full. Mega now available.
Yeah, and the early pick of Poppy, as by the way, Solar Flare is down and this engage under the light looks kind of pitiful. But that very early Poppy pick is going to be fantastic about just running straight at the objective and saying, okay, well, Sejuani can't do anything, Leona can't do anything. How are you going to engage? But now it's actually Live Esports that engage onto the Leona themselves. Generally not a good idea, but they will force the flash of Keria. And now the Jin ult is coming out, just trying to zone them away. T1 thinking about getting on in here, but Peanut just going to launch Oner into the sky, and that is going to be the Infernal Drake already in the hands of Live. Flash on in from Peanut, looking for more, but he's going to take a ton of damage. He goes Keria, though. He is extremely low. And now we've got Doran on the flank. Zeus does not have Meganar, and Zeka is just farming the stacks right now, as it's a very broken up fight. Nobody is going to die yet. But now Doran in a bit of trouble. He's got to flash away, and just barely is going to walk this one off.
Very scrappy fight with the way it ended up playing out. You know, some little mistakes here and there from both sides, but no one ends up going down.
No one dies!
HLE got what they wanted, and I think T1, despite the fact they were there first in the river, their setup for that was a little bit poor. Zeus finished off the tower top, his Mega ran out, and then he ended up TPing in. So if you look on the minimap, we have the TP coming in from the Jax, and Zeus is recalling in mini, and then he's going to TP to bot lane and be miles away from the fight. So they don't have the support there immediately from their strongest member. It allows HLE to get control, knock the Sejuani away, and get the Dragon. But then this is where it started to get a bit weird. Peanut losing vision here, not ideal.
Yeah, and then Keria goes in, but there's not actually a lot of follow-up. Oner has to zone away Doran from just immediately decimating the players of T1 that are still left. And then all the poke comes through. Doran ends up going very, very low. But crucially, Zeus doesn't want to just flash into enemy territory there over the wall just as he's about to turn Mega. But by the end of that, a lot of cooldowns, a lot of summoners used, a lot of action, but no kills. Zeka continues to scale, and the Infernal Drake went to Live.
Yeah, they got the Drake, and they got Zeus' TP. If they'd left then, it would have been fantastic, but even though they made some mistakes, they didn't get punished as much as they could. Speaking of punished...
This is very weird, the setup. Delight in a bit of trouble. He's just trying to walk this one off. He doesn't have flash. There is a magical journey, but now we got TP coming in. Zeus, he wants this, but he's just going to get stunned up against the wall. And the flash on in, the ace in the hole, Delight, he's got a shield. Here comes the rest of the team. His Oner going to throw an ult, and they finally take out Delight.
That's a lot invested, though, just to kill the Bard. If they don't turn this into something else, I don't think that's necessarily worth, because Doran, on the other end of the map, getting a turret.
Feels like one of those plays where you keep committing because it would feel bad not to get the kill, but it's like at some point should have just cut the losses. You lose a tower on the bot side, and the thing is, even though Doran has no TP, even though the support is dead, T1 know they can't just send a Baron there, especially against a Jin Smolder. And so the end result is they don't actually get to translate that play into really anything.
Yeah, they get the kill, and they can say #worth in the chat, but at the end of the day, we're not going to agree with them here analyzing from the caster desk. And it's not like a massive win for Life or anything. They do get the one turret. It's a kill over to T1, but they're still enjoying their lead at this point in time.
I mean, I get it. You see Bard floating around on the Rift, picking up the chimes. You do want to kill him, right? He does sometimes just, it feels satisfying, but yeah, I think we agree it wasn't the correct investment of resources.
The only upside of that play is that T1 got another kill on Zeus. So Zeus in a side lane. Throughout this summer, I don't think he's been very dependable. Really, arguably throughout this year, there's been a lot of I lock a ranged top laner over push and end up going down in the side lane, but I do think he's really cleaned up play in the recent series. We'll see if T1 can use that as a pressure point. Here we go again.
Uh-oh, Guma, he has flash. He's not going to use it this time. Finally will use it. There's Bomb from the sky as well, and now Peanut just running away from this one. Oner going to throw an ult as a lot of these fights very much on a nice edge, but that is a Poppy as the satchel comes in. You can't kill the Poppy at this point in time, but they're going to force Life Esports back. And Life themselves not able to get too much out of the trade either. They do force Peanut to flash away. He's going to pull out the helicopter, just threaten it here to save this turret. And now he will go for a back.
Yeah, Dragon up in 50 seconds. You know, both teams would love if they got the opportunity to take the tower with the Ziggs. You get a low, it's so easy to. I do think Guma, you know, there is really scenarios where when you get a bot ulted, you can satchel yourself out. So potentially having to burn his flash again, not ideal. And they do try and focus on Peanut, but they just didn't have the damage available there. You know, a lot of burst, even the Caitlyn as well.
Doran stepping on a trap, and he nearly dies. He's going to be forced out of this one, and he just TP'd in the mid. So now he doesn't exist, and T1 have their sights on something here. Maybe the Baron. Gonna throw it out, and he's going to hit him! Doran doesn't even flash out of that when he leaps, but he dies mid-leap.
And there we go. T1, they're making the call for the Nash here. They don't care about Dragon. They want to try and take a decisive lead. Peanut's there though, with his ult available. They can't let him near the pit.
No Jinnle for Viper, and he's super low. This is so hard to contest.
The zone control.
I don't know if they're going to be able to do anything about this. I mean, it's a very early Baron, but yeah, HLE Esports say, okay, we just have to take mid tier 1, and that's about it. Maybe to get the Dragon, but T1 will get this Baron off the map. There it goes. And now they're going to be running towards the Dragon and looking to fight again.
Oh, I don't know if they'll be in time. This is going down quick.
They're going to ult Keria away, but he comes back from the sky, and now he's trying to get something going here, as it is going to be the fight and the magical journey out. HLE Esports, they do get this one, and now they're going to turn as Keria is going in. He wants to open this fight, but Peanut is just providing the door, and Delight thinking about the disengage. Not sure if they want to continue on this one, but the Smolder is online. The executions are beginning as HLE Esports are running T1 away from this one. T1, you just got a Baron, but they overchase, and HLE Esports will punish them.
And T1, a big win turning into an immediate disaster as just Salt Point going over. That could have been surmountable, but instead, I think HLE are still going to take that trade.
Yeah, 100%. You know, this was such a good start. You're seeing the sieging power of the Ziggs and the Caitlyn, and there's a great read on the recall position from Guma. Goes for it very late.
Just flash it.
Yeah, I think misreading there. And you know, in League of Legends, there's some rules you learn early on, like don't chase the Singed. Another one is don't go through the Bard portal. It's like you're frustrated they got the Baron, but I guess the plan here is, okay, Keria, you soak the aggro, you go first, and then we're free to follow. But it just doesn't work out, and now Zeka and Viper are over this wall, free hitting, and Zeka has the stacks. He's so strong right now.
It feels like the call was split as well, and actually really nicely done by Delight there. Held his Q up until the second member came through. I think it was Zeus, not allowing Oner to do anything. Faker was backing at the start of that play.
T1 trying to engage here, but it's not really working. Remember, they still have some Baron. And yeah, they're finally going to take down this mid-tier 1, which they have been working on for quite a while, but this time the siege will work out.
Just some Baron. They could have had a lot of Baron.
Yeah.
But they only have some left, and as you pointed out,
they have a plus 33 gold Baron power play. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's great, Ox. Good stuff.
You know, another number we should talk about, which we already did in the team fight, but the Smolder is online. You know, we talked about how fed Viper is going to get. We talked about how, yes, Zeus is fed, but also to Jackson the side lane. But the Smolder is 3-0, has 2.5 items, has his stacks. And Zeka, you know, extremely consistent. He comes out here in Game 1, and so far he's playing just as consistent as he played all regular season. And if this continues, he might just take over the game. And
I'm really struggling. We're shown again, Zeus, highest level in the game, but I'm struggling to see the angles for him to make impacts in these team fights because there's so much lockdown, so much defensive peel, and then you're just going to get burned through by this Smolder. You see them setting up for this bot lane tier 2.
I mean, Zeus is trying his best. There's the lockdown, though, onto Faker. He's in a lot of trouble, and now they're going to knock away Oner. There's no protection for the Caitlyn. Down will go. Faker here in the front line. Peanut thinking about continuing on this one. Here comes the flash, the slow, onto Guma, who does have his flash, but still trying to continue on this one. Big solar flare, and now Meganar coming on in, but the Sterix is gone, and they're just going to give him up. Down will go Zeus. And that is another kill here. A shutdown to Smolder, and another engage comes in from Peanut. And how about another one? They're looking for Keria as well, as he will be taken down. It is a very long lane fight, but it is 4 kills to HLE Esports.
And they could be looking towards the end. Faker's going to be up in 15, but I don't know if he alone is enough. Wave clear, 5 members still here for HLE. And it looks like a game number 1, everything going as expected.
Yeah, this is going to be rough. We'll see if HLE Esports actually do push for the end. It looks like they're kind of backing off of the inhibitor for now, so they'll just take the free inhibitor after that big fight and back away and take the entire jungle. They're not going to try to end just yet. It's still a bit early based off of how much they got, but you know, it's not the end of the game, but it almost feels like it with how one-sided that fight was.
And it's crazy on the fact that T1 have the Baron, but the setup's so good. The route that comes in from Viper, the ult to follow from the Bard, the knock away on the Sejuani, the setup is there. But then in the follow-up play, you actually see a moment where T1 see a chain opportunity. They finally have a window for Zeus to pop up on the Mega Gnar. He gets the fully stacked bar, and then this stun ends up coming in just as he gets Mega. And he gets shut down, isn't able to do anything, and HLE can push forwards.
If he doesn't hit that, we still see everyone on Hanwha Life being quite respectful of the Mega Gnar, right? They're all making sure they don't clump up together, so there's not too much of an opportunity. But that is a colossal win as we are about to head into a must-win fight for T1, because Hanwha Life, if they can get this soul, it's over.
Trying to take out Delight. He is going to be caught. They get him, and they use a lot of their CC to take him down, but that is going to give the advantage here to T1. 5 members to 4. Now, Hanwha Life Esports still have their carries. They still have a front line, and they're still very far ahead. So it looks like they want to just fight for this one. Doran just jumping on in. Doesn't even care. It's a 4v4 right now as the TP from Zeus is late, and the execution will come in. And look at the damage right now from the side of Hanwha Life. They take down 2, and Zeus can't even kill a measly Jhin in the backline by himself. It's a totally broken up fight, and that will absolutely favor Hanwha Life Esports. As you know, the last fight was very one-sided. This one, even more so. And it was eventually a 4v5 as Oner will go down, and it should be Infernal Soul or just the game win to the side of Hanwha Life Esports.
Not much you can do in this situation. Oner trying to survive as long as he can, but the rest of the team are heading over to try and end the game.
And this is going to do it. This is going to be the end of game 1. I mean, it's 15-4. It is a very one-sided start to this one. And there's not much else you can say. Some interesting picks from T1, but at the end of the day, it's good old reliable Smolder and the Poppy as well from Peanut to get the job done as very dominant game 1.